Welcome back. This is Daybreak, and thank you for staying with us. We'll be focusing on the education sector in the country and an inquiry that was commissioned by the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Education on the integrity of the examinations in 2022, that is chaired by the Tinderet MP Julius Meli, who is with us in studio, and which revealed existing gaps in how the examination was administered by the Ministry of Education across the country. This report was done by Safin Acheng Oma and sets up our discussion in the following sense.
A week before the 2023 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examinations begin, the National Assembly Committee on Education has released a report confirming that there was indeed cases of malpractices in last year's examinations. The inquiry began on 27th January 2023, a week after the release of the 2022 national examination results, following a public outcry on concerns regarding allegations of examination malpractices within the country. The committee revealing that the DCI has handled a total of 68 cases, with 44 cases under investigation, 17 cases pending before court, 1 case with a warrant of arrest, and 6 cases already finalized. Out of the isolated cases reported, 47 involved the use of mobile phones, written materials accounting for 12 cases, and a single case of impersonation. The committee considered submissions from 10 counties and meetings with key stakeholders, including the Ministry of Education, government agencies, judiciary, and other players in the education sector. Submissions that revealed shocking details of how the integrity of the exams was compromised. In Embu County, for instance, it was alleged that teachers had observed similar answers given by students, with the teachers saying that they marked some scripts with similar answers. Some cases involved even similar wrong answers in History Paper 2, Question 23, where a respondent confirmed marking a paper where a whole school wrote a wrong but similar answer. The committee was informed that technology, such as social media applications, were used to relay examination information, with platforms such as Telegram and Signal being most preferred to leak exams because the source of information was not traceable. In Mombasa County, a respondent alleged that students had early exposure to examination and they were trying to share the exams with other schools. Signal and Telegram applications were used to relay examination in Mombasa County between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. in the morning. In Garissa County, NEC singled out an incident which involved more than 100 candidates. 29 mobile phones were intercepted by security and examination officials. Another shocking revelation was how most of these cases went unreported, with some examiners claiming that there were incidents of malpractices, but the process of reporting examination malpractice was tedious. The markers indicated that they do not report cases of malpractice for fear of harassment and intimidation by chief examiners. Hence, they stick to marking to earn their pay. According to the findings of the committee, most candidates were pushed to cheat because of the pressure to get good grades to secure admission to good universities. On this, the committee recommended that NEC considers formative and summative evaluation scores for university admission. Another contributor was the desire by principals for higher mean grades, which is a requirement for promotion by TSC. Some principals are said to have approached the sub-county directors of education with a proposal on their desired supervisors, while some schools levy motivational fees on parents to bribe exam officials in what is commonly referred to as fuel to facilitate exam malpractice. On this, the committee is recommending that TSC adjust teachers' promotion requirement to focus on other parameters like discipline, teacher development, as well as co-curricular activities. Principals are also recommended to manage examinations in schools outside their sub-counties. The committee also wants the Examination Council to restrict exam officials from overseeing examinations in particular centers for more than 2 consecutive years to eliminate chances of them being compromised. Other recommendations include stiffer penalties to deter culprits, introducing new offences relating to ICT and social media, installation of CCTV cameras in exam centres, and storage containers to be moved closer to exam centres to avert early exposure. Safin Achieng Oma, Citizen TV.
And the chair of that committee, which had commissioned the inquiry into the integrity of the examinations last year, is with me in the studio, the MP, Tinderet constituency, and the chair of the Departmental Committee on Education, Honorable Julius Meli. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated. And also Hesbon Otieno, who is the Deputy Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your time is appreciated. And also Dr. Purity Ngina, who joins us virtually here on the broadcast. She is a researcher with Zizi Afrik. Thank you for your time, Dr. Purity. Now, Honorable Mele, I come to you. I mean, you have seen the breakdown of a summary of your report there by my colleague Safina Achieng Oma. It's damning in all aspects, is it?
Yes. Thank you, Ayub. Ayub, first of all, let me thank my committee. We did quite a very good report. And the report took quite some time because we really wanted to go down into the issues that are there. We wanted to really separate the chaff and the actual issues that were bedeviling the education sector, mostly the examinations. And you know, Ayub, exams, which is actually a measurement and evaluation process, is not just a one-day affair. It starts and ends with when the child is actually awarded that certificate. So the whole process, when we sat down as a committee, when there was a public outcry that surely there were some allegations that some schools had scored quite inordinately high, others, the allegations were in the social media, the print media, the TVs, and all the others. So we set out to find out, what is it? Was it actually true? What are the issues? Okay. And when we went out, we found out the issues that have been actually enumerated by your reporter. That the issues of early exposure was quite prominent. The issue of where they tried to exchange what I will call papers on the social media, especially the Telegram, the Signal, and all that. Other immoral activities by compromised staff, especially the teachers, the principals, and all these were actually there. But when we went actually the actual issues, especially where the exams were stored, the logistics of transporting exams from the go-downs here in Nairobi all the way to the sub-county level, actually the whole process was good. The containers were intact. The county commissioners and the police were actually doing their work well. It was only some areas where we made recommendations that this particular examination has to be taken in a very, very keen way. What are these? That the exams be done at the time the student is supposed to sit, to avoid, it's a high-stake exam. Where the student wants to go to prestigious schools like Alliance Boys, Kapsabet Boys, Mango School. So everyone goes extra mile to achieve that.
And which are these areas? Because they will definitely seem to be raising concerns, and the focus of the ministry will be on that.
Yes, the concerns were mainly, first of all, maybe we recommended that all the exams, you do a paper in the morning, clear it, go and pick the next one and come and do it. Because the time you are giving this examiner, maybe you are doing the afternoon paper, so you take the whole papers in school and all of them will be there after 2, there'll be temptation for one actually to either open it early, either have a way of exposing it to the students early, and therefore, that was the actual main malpractice that was common.
And which were the areas is my question. I mean,
areas
that you had identified as not adhering to the rules of the Examination Council, for example.
Yes. In fact, some of the glaring areas were, if you look at the examination guidelines, one of the areas that was actually flouted most was the issue where if a student is found to have sneaked in a document or has a phone or anything else that incriminates or actually gives him advantage over the exams, he's supposed to be discontinued from sitting.
Okay.
We realized that the examiners were very lenient on this because thousands of students could have actually been stopped from continuing exams. So by the end of the day, what many of them did was, if you are found with a phone, it is confiscated. If you are found with a written material, it is confiscated, and the student is allowed to proceed.
Okay.
You see that?
Okay. Husband, what do you make of this? And with the last class set to sit the KCP and 1.4 million learners who are registered for this year's examination. Before I come to you first, let me take the account of Dr. Pirio Tigina, who is a researcher with Zizi Africa. And Dr. thanks for your time. Good morning again. Talk to me about what is a serious indictment by Honorable Meli's committee that looked into the integrity of the examinations in 2022.
Thanks again, and apologies that I have to connect online, and happy that I'm connecting from Naivasha, one of the counties where women are doing it. So I'm always excited being on this side because it reminds us that one day, one time, we will have two-third gender rule, not just being on papers, but actually a reality. One of the things, allow me to mention and appreciate, of course, the work that was done. I think that was bold and becoming more vulnerable as people in government, and also wanting to unearth the issues that are there in the exam, cheating and exam malpractices. But one of the things that I have not seen is people analyzing the question, because one of the things that if you go through the exams at the KCPE or the KCSE, you realize that 60% of the questions are repeated, and actually most of the questions are even repeated word by word. So the schools that are able to invest on people who can do the analysis, they do that, and the analysis is done, and they are sure that if you do this question, this and this and this, you are likely to have your learners getting over 60% of the marks. And the children are drilled, they are fed that, and they're able to repeat question answers, and the teachers go through that all the time. And no one pays attention to that. And I remember last year we went to a conference that was actually organized by all the assessment bodies in Africa, and NEC was represented. And those findings were shared there, that 60% of our questions, especially even in Kenya, had been repeated. They were word by word. Others were even the same question and the same position. So if it was question 1 history this year, you find it 2 years later, the question 1 history, the same question, and the learners and the teachers in the big schools especially are able to invest on that, and no one pays attention to that. Of course, that is a failure to the people setting exams. As much as I appreciate that there are questions that probably need to be set, there are ways of setting exams, I think we need to be getting outside the box. Another thing is that when you analyze the exams, even when we want to get out of cramming and rote learning, the backwash effect is real. And what happens is that the questions are not high order. So most of the question is something you can just get from the book, from your textbook. You cram everything, you download everything, and that's it. We don't have high order questions. Children are not given questions where they can think. And if that is the case, then we will definitely be saying, probably it's not even that they were given an exam. Maybe they were just in a school that was very smart, that was able to expose them to the real question, and also the fact that they are also very brilliant children that we have in this country. Okay. Able to just replicate that. And I think we need to pay attention to that. Of course, we are saying we only have 5 years to probably have the competence-based education taking shape, but we still have 5 years, those we are talking about, so many millions of our children in a country for that matter.
Okay.
But also sad is that the people who aid exam cheating are adults. I was watching Honorable Meli 7 months ago when he was in Mombasa doing, I think, collecting feedback from parents and having those participation. And one of the things he said is that NEC aided the exam cheating. That is quite sad. You're setting your exams, you're using the taxpayers' money. You're the people aiding cheating of exams. I think we need to see some people going taking responsibility. We cannot be a country where we are pointing down the issues. A lot of resources is spent.
All right.
We need to call out those people.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Hesbon, I come to you, and because I'm just skimming through the report by Honorable Mel, I'll come to you, yes. Moesh. In Embu, for example, it was alleged that teachers had observed similar answers given by students, with teachers saying that they marked some scripts with similar answers. Some cases involved even similar wrong answers in history. Paper 2, question number 23, where a respondent confirmed marking a paper where a whole school wrote a wrong but a similar answer. I mean, it clearly tells you of complacency, isn't it, at that level of the examiners, the security personnel, and the students. I mean, how can that be addressed then? Because it seems that they are all into the facilitating cheating in examination.
Yeah, first of all, let me take this opportunity to wish the candidates well, considering that the candidates who are doing KCPE, these are the last cohorts. And my son is one of the people who are doing the last cohort, so I just take the opportunity.
All the best to him.
All the best.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Secondly, it is very sad now when you get a situation where teachers and the administration of the school and people who are supposed to be manning the exam, starting from the supervisor and the invigilators, all agreeing to cheat, agreeing to sit together to discuss and see a way in which they can manipulate the results of an examination. It is very unfortunate. It is unprofessional, and it's something that we should not abet at any given time. And so it is unfortunate when you get a situation whereby, and it is teachers who discover that other teachers have done wrong, which is very good. Because when teachers are doing the marking and they realize that the answers which are given are almost similar word to word, it means that those who were given the responsibility of running that examination, they agreed to cheat together. And it also affects the students who are supposed to be measured by this exam, because those students prepared to some level. So even as they are going to that exam room with the name of being aided to pass, I think in their conscience, they are feeling that there is a gap, there is something that is not right, there is something that is not smart. There is something that is happening in their life that should not happen. So I think as teachers, as people who are professionals, it is something that we should not encourage. No. That is why in one of the recommendations that I've had, even as I was coming in, was that teachers should not maybe supervise or invigilate in one school for a long time. Because that being used to the same school, being used to the same people, being used to the same security agent manning the exam, would really open up this room of people negotiating to say, how can we assist the school? And you see, most of these things come out of what you call competition. Because one school wants to feel that it is doing better every other time, it is producing good results every other time. So it encourages that thing of saying, let us see how we can maintain our performance and give a position that is actually not real. So I think it is something that we should not encourage if it happened at that time. Okay. And it is something that was observed even as the exams were being assessed. Mm-hmm. It is not something that we need to allow to be repeated. Okay. So in my position as a trade unionist, as a representative of the teachers, I'm saying if you have taken the work of supervising exams, or you have taken the work of invigilating the exams, be very rational in carrying out your duties so that you do your duties in a manner that will keep the confidence of the profession that we call teaching. Thank you. And yes, I think that would be the best thing. Okay.
Honorable Melissa, point?
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, let me say, Ayub, that what Ngina raised is quite pertinent. Item developers, or what we call test developers, are supposed to set tests, or what they want to measure is the abilities or what a child has achieved in terms of cognitive or behavioral development. Instances where some test developers, or not test, examiners, let me use the word examiners, have actually made it a business to actually move across schools that they can speak on how to handle a particular subject. For example, physics, mathematics, chemistry, biology, and all this. Mm-hmm. This is big-time business, where schools raise motivational fee. Ask parents, kindly pay this fee. Yeah. We shall invite an examiner, a seasoned teacher, who is able to go through the whole process, taking the learners question by question. What the researcher actually raised, we also pinpointed in our report that these kind of officers, if they work for NEC, they need to be reprimanded. They need not to be allowed, because actually that is wrong. It is quite wrong, because they have a duty to be a marker, to be an examiner, to be an item developer. You keep that. It is like saying you are an NIS officer, carrying your card everywhere in the village saying, oh, I work for National Intelligence Service. By the end of the day, you'll actually have ruined...
Blow your cover.
Yes, your cover. The same thing to what we are telling the Examination Council. And we are very glad, I'm very glad as a chair, because most of the recommendations we made, they have actually been actualized. They have taken action on a number of them, except a few legal recommendations, which we intend actually to table them before the House and have recommendations. A number of test developers and assessment experts complain a lot that certain questions keep on appearing word for word. Even if it's not word for word, it elicits the same response. That is wrong, because the learning area is quite large. Why do you need to reproduce a question, either word for word, or if not word for word, you are actually telling the learner of 2022 to elicit a response which a learner in 2021, 2020 was doing it. For example, in practicals, for example, in mathematics, for example, in all those other areas. Those things actually need to be developed afresh, be tested afresh, and the learner now proceed.
Yes. And we'll proceed more on this, Honorable Mele, Hesbon, and Dr. Purity, when we get back from the break here on the broadcast, and focus on also the place of technology. It's coming as a blessing, but also with its own fair share of consequences, especially in the administration of examination. And Honorable Mele, your team also pointed out Signal and Telegram were adversely used, and they were used to relay exam information between majorly 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. That's what you find out in the report, and we'll be discussing that and much more here on the broadcast when we get back, as we focus on the integrity of examination in the country, with the last cohort of KCPE learners set to sit for the examination starting next week, 1.4 million of them, according to the Ministry of Education. And also on the second aspect of this topic, talk about the interdiction of teachers. Teacher Service Commission, which sent out letters to teachers for desertion of duty who are largely based in Mandera, Wajir and Garissa counties. They also, on their part, raised the insecurity concern that they have, on which they said the government must address. We'll be talking about that as well here on the broadcast. Stay tuned.